Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bobby and Beardy Show. I'm Bobby. Alongside me, as always, is my co-host Beardy, and today we will be reviewing Trap. Just so you know, there are time codes below, should you wish to use them. And also, as always, that little reminder that we are on Spotify. If you want to go and follow us on there and listen to us instead of watch episodes, do us in the car. I don't know, at the gym. I don't know, rock climbing. Extreme ironing. These are all the suggestions. You don't have to do any or all of them. Biddy, you're well? Are you well? Are you well?
Yeah, firstly, if anyone does do any of those activities whilst listening, please get photos, post them somewhere. We need to see this.
Yes, especially extreme ironing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I am well, actually. I've had a week off work, which is unlikely for me. I just mentioned to you before this, I've booked a holiday, which I haven't done for 5 years. So I don't know what's. I'm not me anymore, but it's a good
going
thing.
To Barbados. He's not. He might be.
He's not.
He hasn't actually told me where he's going.
I haven't told you. I don't want you to know. You'll turn up.
He's going extreme ironing in Barbados.
But yeah, everything's good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad at all. We're hosting a big family barbecue tomorrow, and we just went to Costco to buy all of the bits. And Costco had none of the bits because it's bank holiday weekend. We're recording this on, and clearly everyone else thought, I'm going to get barbecue stuff. So we'll solve that another time. Anyway, should we crack on with the show?
I think we should.
Fantastic. I will provide you with Le Rundown. Trap is a psychological thriller film written, directed, produced, and a slight cameo by M. Night Shyamalan. That's not a spoiler, by the way. He's just a character. It's fine. M. Night Shyamalan, starring Josh Hartnett, Ariel Donahue, Sadika Night Shyamalan, Hayley Mills, Alison Pill, and Jonathan Langdon. The release date was the 9th of August 2024. The runtime is 105 minutes. The budget of 30 million, and the worldwide box office as of this morning was 63 millies. This is Australian. Jokes, it's still American. It's always American. So it's just about broken even, although when you put marketing into it, it's like probably about 3 million up. The rough rule most people follow is budget doubled. And I've seen a lot of trailers for this film. So
a lot.
So it's doing okay. It's probably slowing down already, but it might do well. I think it'll probably do well on streaming, to be honest. Yeah. I don't think it's had that bad a review. I quite liked it. Spoilers for my opinions in a bit. But, McBeardy, will you just remind our lovely audience, the ones who are all listening to us both on Spotify and YouTube at the same time, while extreme ironing, also in Barbados, what the story is? Thank you.
Okay, so obviously, if you've seen the trailer, it's main character and his daughter going to a concert, and there's a weird amount of FBI, police, SWAT presence, and everything feels a little bit off. Cooper, the main character, befriends someone who's working there, finds out they're there to catch a notorious serial killer, yeah, the Butcher.
He's not. He doesn't work it down the butchers. Of course, he's a serial killer.
No, but mass murderer, serial killer. I was trying to figure out the right one. It's serial killer. Mass murderer is different. There's a legal definition. I'm not going to go into it. Yeah, and then we kind of find out that Cooper, Josh Hartnett's character, is uneasy and doesn't like being there and is trying to get out. And we're not 100% sure why, but it's very heavily alluded to that he may have something to do with the situation.
Would you say he feels trapped?
Well, he does now. Although my thoughts on the film would suggest otherwise. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, that's what happens. He looks for ways out, exits, whilst not letting too much on to everyone else, his daughter, other random caveat. Yeah, I know. He does a bad job of it, and we'll discuss that too.
You say that. Yeah,
he did a terrible job of it.
No one's none the wiser the entire time.
I know. It's so dumb that no one gets it. But anyway, that's what happens. Does he get away? And does he not get away? How will he get away? I thought about it for about 30 seconds and figured out what would happen. It's quite transparent in my opinion, but it's worth a watch. I have my thoughts. We'll go into them heavily, but it's an interesting take. It's an M. Night Shyamalan film, so twists and weirdness, maybe less twists than I expected, but still twists.
I think
What
it's
are
fun.
your thoughts?
Yeah, they're attending a
What do you
Lady
think's
Raven concert, who is played by Salika Knight Shyamalan, who is M. Knight's daughter. My first criticism of the film, I think she gets way too much playtime singing songs. There's too much of her concert occurring. I know for some of them it's needed because you need to have Josh Hartnett like looking around, scoping the place. But other times I'm just like, can we just move it? Can we move it along a bit quicker than this? I'm not here to listen to this concert.
Well, I think they tried to draw a parallel between this and sort of when Prince did the music videos and music for Purple Rain. So it wasn't just a film; it was also, well, I am a singer and a songwriter and a dancer. I'm going to put them in the film, and this is free advertising. Well, not free advertising, but free advertising. So I think there was an element of that. It felt a little nepo, but yeah, no, I agree. Well, to be fair, I think that for a hour and 40 film, it felt long.
It starts, yes, and honestly, most of it for me is in that chunk where it's like, are we really watching another like 3 to 4 minute song here? What's happening?
Yeah.
That said, for the most part, I did actually quite enjoy this film, as silly as it is and gets, and has logic falls out of the flipping window at times. I found this to be quite a bit of fun. I feel like there's a number of incidents that occur, which we'll probably talk about more in spoilers. In which Josh Hartnett would be caught or alert suspicion immediately.
Of course.
You literally see them putting up extra CCTV, and yet nobody notices the odd behaviour, the wandering around. So you've got to take that with a pinch of salt. There's a couple of scenes where he's just directly walking through places he shouldn't be, and no one bats an eyelid, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why does nobody... Is everyone taking stupid pills today? Or is this man's just utter confidence just like full on, just fooling everybody? It's like, whatever.
Too many odd things happen around him. Like you said, there's too many eyes on him at any given point. People keep getting too close and then for some reason being stopped and pulled away. Like random accidents that shouldn't happen wherever he is, and no one thinks, oh, there's a common denominator here.
You'd think after several of those accidents, they'd be over that CCTV going,
yeah,
who's this? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? There's a profiler, I think, who's hired to catch, and you really think she'd be paying attention to this sort of thing. I think she's not very good at her job, personally. What I will say about this film, which I did really enjoy, is that it properly had me, and you can answer if you felt this way as well. It had me rooting for the potential bad guy, the butcher. It had me doing it anyway, and I thought that was an interesting place to be because you're kind of hoping he gets away with and escapes and things. And you know why? It's because he's a bloody good dad. He's the best dad. Yeah. He's creepy as heck, but he's a good dad. He really cares about his daughter. There's a little subplot about some girls in her school year that they've fallen out with, and the other girl's mum's there, and they keep bumping into each other. And
she's crazy.
She's a lunatic as well. She's got a dark side. She threatens him at one point.
I've heard.
I laughed at that. But he's a good dad, and I think because they don't really show you anything happening, any crimes being committed by Josh Hartnett, the potential butcher, it keeps you on side with him, because if there was a film where it just showed you here's a killer and he's just strangled some cats and some babies, and now you're going to root for him to escape, you'd be like, no, I'm not so sure I want to root for you to escape. Actually, I just watched you do all those horrible things. Because they keep that at arm's length, and you're unsure about certain things, and you're waiting for twisty twists.
Because it's an M. Night Shyamalan film, obviously the main thing is you get put in this situation, and he's kind of shady and trying to get out. So you're like, oh, well, he must be the butcher. He's probably the butcher. But because it's an M. Night Shyamalan film, I'm like, well, maybe he's not. Maybe he's caught the butcher, and now he's doing questionable things, or intending to do questionable things, because it's better for society, because he is such a good dad. He's a pillar of the community. He helps people who need medical attention.
He's a fireman.
He does a lot good. Yeah, like and it would play quite nicely if he has snapped. He's seen this. He stumbled across the butcher and he caught him, and vigilante justice kind of takes over because he has this sense of, I need to do right by my community. And to be fair, that made a lot of sense to me, and I wasn't sure most of the way through what was actually going on. Yeah, it was quite nice. Like I say, I didn't enjoy the film as much as I thought I would, but elements of it were brilliant. I did feel tense. I did want him to get out. I liked seeing this isn't going to work, so what's the next plan? What's the contingency? What's the tertiary plan? I think Josh Hartnett surprisingly played the character very well.
I think Josh Hartnett's great in this film, honestly.
Oh, yeah, he's a great actor, but it's not his normal role. And yeah, he did a great job of it. I think in general, yeah, it's not a bad film. It's just not what I expected, and I think it ran on a bit too long, which I very rarely say for films.
Yeah, I'm almost ready to go into like spoilers where we can just talk a bit.
Well, the thing is, it needs to be mainly spoilers.
But yeah, basically the gist of the film is there's an FBI profiler who's trying to catch him, he kind of knows his moves. He's trying to escape. He's trying to stay one step ahead. But it's a bit of cat and mouse sort of thing. Situations are either created by him to escape or presented to him, and you're wondering what he's going to take. But ultimately, he's a good dad, and he doesn't want to just leg it because he's a good dad and his daughter's having a great time, etc., etc. But I do think, as we're going to talk about in spoilers in a second, there are a number of instances where he'd be arrested within 10 seconds. I'm pretty sure.
Yes. There's one that stands out, well, two, but one more than anything else.
But
I think spoilers time.
Yes, I'm going to give it a big thumbs up. I actually really had fun with this movie, although I will probably criticize it slightly more in spoilers as well. I said in our last review, what did we review last week? What did we do? What did we talk about last time? I said basically my review. Oh, it was Borderlands. Of course, I've already forgotten.
Oh, it was Borderlands.
Jesus
yeah, it was
Christ!
so
What a dumpster fire of a boredom movie. Yeah, I said at the end of that review, don't watch Borderlands, watch Trap instead, because I had a lot more fun watching Trap.
Yes.
I would also argue it's not that much of a psychological thriller if you're worried about that sort of thing. It's kind of just but there is a bit of a thriller element, but it's not like high stakes.
No, it's quite shallow. It's quite on the surface. There's not much depth. As bad as that sounds, it's still a good film, and I will give it a thumbs up, but only just. Like, I did enjoy it. Like I say, it was tense. I did like what's going to happen? How is he going to go? What is the actual storyline? But I wanted more from it. But I don't know if that's maybe because I like creepy films and I wanted it to be more.
See, I don't really like creepy films, as people know on from this show. So
You've never mentioned it.
I'm subtle. I keep all my cards close to my chest. So I found it the perfect amount of fun shenanigans rather than actual things. Right, should we go into Spoiler Town?
I think so, yes.
Do you want to start?
No, you go with your biggest event that was an issue, and then I'll see if it lines up with mine.
Sure. So there's two moments in the film where I think he should get caught almost instantly, and certainly by CCTV. The first one is he pushes a woman down the stairs in front of everybody. I just feel like they would look at that very quickly to go, what happened here? Because from what we see as the audience is he just walks up to her and goes, bam, and pushes this drunk woman down the stairs. I really think they would watch that. And I think they'd try and bring him in for questioning regardless of him being potentially the butcher.
I do think with that one they do kind of cover it with her friend being there. She's far too drunk. She leaves her by the stairs. All it takes is a friend to be like, well, she was standing here and she was swaying, and like I think I think realistically because there's so much more security than there would ever usually be, they would 100% look at this. Anything that's slightly out of the ordinary they should look at. Especially because like these two police officers come off the door to look after her, and then another 3 instantly go there. They're perfectly timed clockwork. And then they let slip. Like, it makes no sense. But yeah, I do get that. That's not one of my two.
Well, I've got 3. I'm building up to my big one.
Okay.
The second one is he essentially plants a bomb in a food counter, a hot deep fat fryer. And again, nobody notices him, sneak behind. Nobody... and plant... I think it's maple syrup. Is it maple syrup or
It's
something?
oil.
Is it oil in the oil?
Oil. Yes. But it's a glass container of oil.
So that explodes.
So that obviously heats and explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like, nobody saw that. No, and they're not looking.
That's my biggest one. That's the one where it makes no sense to me.
yeah, it's like a proper moment. I'm like, come on, is no one paying attention to this? And then he's on the roof and they're like talking to some police officers. Oh, and earlier in the film, he just walks into a briefing with the SWAT team and just pushes through them to make a coffee. And I'm that like, you should. I don't believe that they would let staff into that room. That would be a police only room. They're doing a briefing and trying to find him, and he just walks through them. I just feel like, what? That's not real. That can't be real. That's silly. That's silly.
There are far too many occasions where he gets away with too much. That's, to me, the biggest issue. The plot holes that are necessary to make the story continue make the film less believable and difficult, and to me, less accurate and fun.
There's he befriends the merch guy who's played by Jonathan Langdon, and even though he's the guy who tells him that the butcher's being hunted there, and then he like brings him down to the stockroom to get him a t-shirt because they'd sold out, and he promised to get him one because he was being a good dad and let another girl take it, and didn't want to cause any shenanigans. And he said, "I'll get you one later." And then like he takes him in, and then he gives him information, and he's like, "What's going on? You wouldn't." I mean, to be honest with you, having lived through 4 years ago, people are this stupid. So, so maybe I shouldn't be dissing it as well. But there's a lot of circumstances where if I wasn't having so much fun, and I'm aware I'm ranting now because it is stupid, but I must stress it, I did have fun watching it. It is like, come on, what's happening here?
Did you see the post-credit scene?
I did. As I was walking out, I
figured.
I was walking out, it started playing, and I turned around and went, should I watch this? I know exactly what it's going to be. And I stood there for a second, I went, nah, I can't bother.
What? You didn't watch it?
No, I could hear it as I was leaving. I knew what was happening.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's exactly what you expected, but it was done funnily, and I liked it.
Yeah.
So if you do see the film...
I was happy, but I didn't need to see it.
Yeah. There are two things that I want to discuss that I really liked, which aren't anything to... Well, one thing I really liked, one thing that confused me. Josh Hartnett, well, we're going to kind of... It's spoilers now. He is the butcher. If you hadn't got this, he's the butcher.
He's straight up the butcher. He's not doing a Dexter. He's just a bad dude. But a good dad.
Yeah. But this way, they kind of go through, he's a bad dude because he was punished too much by his mum as a kid, and his mum was the first person to recognize that he had issues, and so on and so forth. And he keeps seeing his mum. And what I like, the first time is you see her, he's in a bathroom, he's washing his hands, she's standing next to him in the men's bathroom, but she doesn't have a reflection in the mirror. I don't know how many people picked up the air. No, not many people did. But yeah, she doesn't have a reflection, so she's not.
Okay.
Nah, only me. I'm great. The other thing, do I say this because it could ruin films for people?
I don't.
You know the thing with Apple?
The thing with Apple?
Okay, so I'm going to say it, and if I ruin, I would put a big alert for spoilers here. Give people the opportunity to skip this because it could ruin all films ever for people.
Okay.
Apple have a tendency to not allow their phones to be used by villains.
Oh yeah, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I think that's well known enough at this point, but people just forget about it like I do.
But he's using an iPhone in this. That threw me straight away. That's why I started thinking, oh, maybe he's a good guy and he's caught.
He's not a bad dude. He's a good dad. Good dad. No, it balances out. He's a bad dude, but he's a good dad, so he can have an iPhone.
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. It threw me a little bit because obviously everyone's using an iPhone in this. But yeah, it really took me by surprise that I expected him to be a good character because Apple are very strict on that usually.
I don't pay attention.
It's very
to
meta.
Unless they literally pan past the logo, I do not pay attention to that sort of stuff.
I do with TVs, phones, headphones, everything. With Madam Web beginning of this year, I was looking at what camera she was using 50 years ago. I have problems.
So what I would say, going back from technology to the film, is this film is in two parts almost. Not necessarily 50-50 in actual runtime, but there's the movie bit in the arena in which he's trapped, and there's the bit post trap. And this is my main complaint with them. So after long-winded shenanigans, he gets himself and his daughter backstage, and he says, "Hey, Lady Raven, can I speak to you one-on-one?" And she's like, "Absolutely, let's go into this room." no, she's aware that they're trying to catch the butcher. First of all, I don't believe she'd go into a room with him. Second of all, they go into
without
the
any
room,
security,
and he immediately goes, "Hey, guess what? I'm the butcher, baby."
Yeah,
give us a lift out, will you? And I'm like, what's his plan there? And wouldn't it make more sense for him to go, "Hey, listen, I've already lied to you that my daughter had leukemia, I think it was. And don't talk to her about it. That's rude. Could you? I might be asking too much, but could you give us a ride in your limo? Honestly, you've done so much for her today, but it would just be the absolute cherry on top. She would be the happiest girl." And he could even throw in a lie about she's got cancer again, and he can manipulate her, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But instead, he's just like, "I'm the butcher. Give us a ride out of here." What is his plan post that?
The long term, he has nothing.
Full reveal, and was he just going to run away? Because they know they'll be able to figure it out. Basically, from that moment on, they'll know who he is. Because she'll drop him off at the curb, and she'll immediately go, "Hello, police."
Well, yeah, this is it. Like, it's not like, I don't know, maybe her daughter was just recorded dancing on stage with her and be like, "Oh, who's the dad of this person?" Like, not difficult, particularly when everyone saw it happen. Like,
the mum's in the audience of her friends as well. She'll identify him straight away.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
It's batshit.
Yeah, but for someone who's been so meticulous beforehand, it has been going on for a long time, years, obviously, and suddenly he panics. He's done everything else so well, like, shouldn't have worked, but it has. But then he goes, "Well, I have nothing else to do. I'm the butcher. You want to help me a little bit, or bad things will happen to this guy you don't know. And take my word on it, because it sounds plausible, please." Like, it doesn't make sense. I also, if I'm honest, I would have preferred the film to be only at the theater, like the arena.
I agree. I think it would have been far more interesting for the entire film to be set in a stadium full of people, and he was trapped the entire film. But then it goes on to the next part of the film, which is set in several places, but they end up going back. I don't know why I'm explaining the plot to people. Maybe people want to know my spoiler opinions, but I'm going to watch the film themselves. So the rough plot is
maybe
she gives them a ride out, and then instead of dropping them off, she's like, maybe I'll go to your house. She's turning the tables a bit, and she goes and meets the family, and then she plays some piano, and she steals the butcher's phone that he's shown her on his screen that he's got someone held captive. That's rude, quite frankly. Don't steal someone's phone. That's very rude. She's the bad guy as far as I'm concerned, Beardy. She locks herself in the toilet, and she uses Instagram or whatever Live to
Instagram Live,
which was that's a cool element. In fairness, that can stay in. I have no problems with that. That could have stayed in.
Well, it makes sense for her.
Yeah, massive megastar using a following. They end up saving the guy. Whatever. You see him later, and I'm like, I don't care. Move on. But this goes back to what I was saying in non-spoilers. I was on Team Butcher's side, and Lady Raven was really pissing me off. And so he locks his family in a room unsuccessfully, but that's a side point. And he tries to drive off, and then after shenanigans, and then they're in a limo, and he's kidnapping her there, and he's going to kill her, and she escapes. But I'm like, I really wanted her to get her just desserts, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's a moment where she's trying to do speak like his mum, because that's what the
that was
FBI
weird
thing. And I was like, man, I don't like you, Lady Raven, quite frankly. First of all, I've had to listen to too many of your songs. Now I don't like your attitude, and you stole a phone. Don't you think he'd have had a lock on his phone, though? Unless she's, because he was taking pictures. Unless she snatched it.
He was recording.
I think
because there's a point later on where she's left it too long, and then the lock is there, and she can't get back in.
I reckon he'd have he's got a custom system. I reckon he'd have that behind something. I don't think she'd be able to go from normal video camera into his personal CCTV for his murder dungeon.
Well, that would have its own code, surely. Like,
Yeah.
All of those apps tend to, like, it's a security thing, you need to have security code access, or most likely it's 2024, some sort of biometrics, it's an iPhone, don't have face recognition.
I don't believe she could possibly do that. Honestly, of all the stretches in the film, of all the incompetent police work where they haven't caught him doing absolute ridiculous, blazing things, that was the thing that made me go, no, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the twist?
Yeah.
Because there is a twist. You said to me in text form that there is a twist. I disagree. There is a twist. It's not necessarily the biggest twist, and I know M. Night has he's the big twist guy. Don't always need a twist. Yeah. But there is a twist. The person, because you spend the entire film going, how do you know he's at this concert? Like, where's this, and for a while I honestly thought they just weren't going to tell me. They just knew somehow. And he's
a super fan.
Yeah, big fan of Lady Raven. But the twist is actually it's his wife who's suspicious of him, thought he was having an affair, kind of set him up to be found of it. I thought that was a little bit interesting, but I was listening to a review a couple of days ago of this because I wasn't sure we were going to review it because I saw this film bloody years ago, Beardy. I don't know about you. And it was the Weekly Planet podcast, one of my favorites. And they were making the point of it goes from the main characters of dad, daughter, Lady Raven to suddenly side character introduced in the last 20-25 minutes as like the main event showdown. And it does feel a little strange. And I agree with them, what they're saying.
I completely agree with that. It is a bit odd, and I do think that they reached a little bit with this. Like, her main reasoning for setting this all up was he came home smelling like medical cleaning equipment, specifically, not the normal stuff he'd deal with, but he's a fireman, so he'd deal with medical quite a lot. We saw him do it earlier. He can lie quite convincingly. A lot of people can,
especially to neighbours. Yeah, you just say things. You're like when you don't want to do something, you don't want to go to your neighbour's house for wine that evening. You're like, no, I've got a thing to do actually, and you just make something up. Yeah. It's not an uncommon characteristic.
Not at all. And like I say, because of those two things, she's like, well, I wasn't 100% sure, but you weren't here a lot. I thought you were having an affair, but you're not that sort of person. You're a good dad.
He's a good dad.
He's a good dad. So just in case you are the butcher, I'm going to leak evidence to the FBI by following you, dropping a bit of a receipt, but not enough that they could find out it's exactly you. So it makes no sense anyway, because if you were going to do that, like, you'd leave at least some sort of thing to draw to him. He also easily could have got out of there without being searched. If he's such a good liar, fine.
They didn't know who they were looking for. Quite honestly, there's a mention of a tattoo, but honestly, they are pulling out everybody, basically any male of any age, race, hairstyle. They're just like you. Like, they don't know what.
I think they said it's 3,400-ish men at the concert, and they want to interview all of them. Like, they are clutching at straws. And what if he didn't get there for some reason? Car broke down, whatever. Like, that could have absolutely happened. It's too loose. She should have left something with taking it to him. And worst case scenario, they get to him, he fails the interview. Oh my god, he's the butcher. She's done a great job. Or they get to him. Oh, this is weird. Well, I don't know why. Oh yeah, sorry. That I just go there to think because life is stressful. I'm a fireman. I'm trying to be a good dad.
I'm a good dad.
So I apologise for that. I don't know why I left it there. I'll stop using these houses. I apologise. I'll go back to my life. One of those two things was going to happen. She didn't have to do the whole, well, he might be at this location with 20-something thousand people. Hint, hint, maybe.
Don't look at my phone where you can see my murder dungeon. It's unlocked, by the way. No.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, dear. I've really ragged on this film, but I did genuinely enjoy it. So
I know you did. It's just, there's too many reaches. There's too many stretches. It was fine. It was fun. It was tense. But I expected more. And I like M. Night Shyamalan films most of the time. Some of them are garbage, some of them are great. The ones that are great I really love, and he's done better.
Yeah. Are you just about ready to wrap up?
I am 100%. So I've said everything I needed to.
I just want to say one more thing. You know he's a good dad, because even after he's revealed to be the murderer, and he tries to kill Lady Raven, her favourite, her idol and favourite pop star or whatever, And he goes crazy in front of her, and he tries to kidnap her, and he's just, inexplicably, the police bring their kids back just as they're arresting him, and you're like, what? Give it 10 minutes, please. Have them around the corner.
Oh.
No, she runs over and gives him a big hug because he's a good dad.
I have two last things before you go. Good dad. He mentions the fact that he's not angry at his wife. He's angry because he's not going to see his kids grow up. That's the only thing he cares about. Good dad.
It's good dad.
Other issue, like he's been arrested. He's been tasered multiple times. He's being led out in shackles. There's a bike leaning over, so he's like, "Oh, I'm going to stand this up," and they let him fiddle with it for like 8 years. And he steals a spoke so he can break himself free. Big twist at the end.
They're
Maybe
the
they'll be
worst
trapped
police
too.
department in the world.
They're the worst. Never go to Philadelphia. Apparently, it's terrible. It's not safe. Now I'm done.
Dear, dear. Anyway, Josh Hartnett, Best Dad Award, Dad of the Year, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, that is our review. I did enjoy it. I do recommend you watch it, even if I've just spoiled it. I don't know. If you watch it now after listening to all the spoiler rants, then fair play to you. I hope you have fun with it. But there we go. Fantastic. Beardy, do you want to do the outro?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Thank you very much for watching and or listening, or both, whilst ironing, we hope.
Extremely.
You can find us extreme ironing. Yeah, if it's not extreme, don't bother. Leave it creased. You can find us on YouTube, see our faces, and hear us. Obviously, Spotify. When you're doing all these fan activities, you can just hear us in your lovely ears. You can find Bobby on Twitch as Bobby Android. I am still doing nothing. I'm too busy, and I don't want to, but I do want to. Maybe you'll see it soon. But until then, we'll be doing many more reviews. A couple of films coming up that we were discussing before this. If you're interested, please come back. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Cheers very much. Bye-bye. He's a good dad.
He's a good dad.